Welcome to another episode of Tales from a Professional Nerd. My name is Bryan CP Steele, and I will be your nerd today. Today's probably going to be a shorter episode. We're going to do the Week in Bryan, and then we're going to cover the winner of the contest, the care package contest from the last couple episodes. And we're definitely going to discuss next week's awesome episode. But I did want to take just a real quick second and kind of point out the fact that this has been a real tough week for a lot of people, for a lot of different reasons. The between the virus and everyone being shut in, and protests and instigation to violence across the world. As far as I know, it's mostly the U.S., but in all honesty, the U.S. has a really systemic problem with police brutality against people of color, and it's really kind of come to a head and become a very big. It's been a big problem, obviously, but it is something that I wish I could say anything to my friends and my colleagues and fans and whatnot out there. Especially those of color. I wish there was something I could say, but there isn't. The only thing I can say is that I stand with you, and if I can be of any help, or if you know of anything that I can do as a creator, as a content producer, as someone who maybe has access to facets within the industry, or I honestly don't know. It would be foolish of me to sit here and spout platitudes and talk about how I can empathize or anything, because in all honesty I can't. I'm a middle-aged white male who is for the most part about as white bread as it gets when it comes to the general view of people. Yeah, I might be a little weird. I got a mohawk going on, and I lived some strange lifestyle choices earlier on in life, but I've got a wife, 2 kids, ex-wife, mortgage, the whole 9 yards. I can't be in that position. I'm the person. I'm the cardboard cutout of the person that the police look over and ignore in order to focus their rage and their aggression and their militarized tactics on people of color. And it's very sad. It's sad, and I don't know what I can do other than say that if I can be of help, please reach out, let me know if there's something that I can do, or if there's anything that any sort of collaboration or anything like that. Yeah, again, I'm sort of lost in troubled waters, and it's not even a matter of white guilt, which of course I have. I'd be foolish to say that I don't. But it is one of those things where things are really rough right now. It's really we're in a position, I mentioned on one of my Facebook pages, which again, this is why the topic of today is so important. I mentioned on one of the Facebook pages that the year 2020 is going to go down in history as either the time that America grabbed itself by its bootstraps, picked itself up, and realized that it's been doing wrong by a great deal of its population for a long time, And it's time to fix that, and it's time to make amends and start to, figure out how we can move forward and not be the the hidden happy-go-lucky when there's so much bad stuff happening around us. Or it's going to be the time in history that people will remember. Oh yeah, hey, remember when the tyrant sank what used to be considered one of the greatest nations in the world? Yeah. So either way, I normally, I'm sure a lot of you guys are like, and click, because I'm normally much more positive and everything, but it's rough out there, and I've got friends that are dealing with this, and I've got friends that are put at odds with one another, with me, based off of our opinions, and it is it's an interesting and difficult time, and I hope we come out of it better. That's the most honest thing I can say, is I hope that we come out on the other side of this stronger and better and healed, or at least healing, from all of the horrible things that are happening. Yeah. So now that I've gotten that, I want to make sure that you all knew that. I guess I move into the actual episode at hand. So this week in Bryan, on a personal note, it's been a pretty decent work week. Something weird has happened in the last couple of days where the internet feeding to the Midwest has been just screwed up all over the place. So I'm still going to record this. It might actually get out a day or two late, depending on when they get that stuff fixed. But either way, it has been very enlightening just how much my job relies on the internet. I am a permanent remote worker. I work out of my office here in Indiana, and that means that anytime that I need to contact somebody, or I've got a meeting or anything like that, with very, very few exceptions, they're never face-to-face. They're always, through a camera or through internet or through email or anything like that. So I have been living, my phone, my battery's almost toast. I've been living off of this thing because it doesn't use the Comcast internet system to the internet that's broken. It doesn't use that, so I've actually been able to do most of my contacts through my phone. But there's just some things that I can't do. There's just some things that don't play nice with that phone connection. So yeah, it's been weird and trying the last couple days. Hopefully I'll be able to get this this video uploaded, and it will be wonderful. However we make that happen, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe I can try and transfer it to my phone and use my phone to I don't know. That's messed up. Let's see what else. So I'm doing all kinds of work. I got, as of this morning, I jumped a really cool hurdle in the Warzone creation process. More on Warzone in a minute. And I got, basically I finished up all of the traits that terrain will have. Terrain is very important in a war game, in my opinion. In fact, there's actually coming soon, I'm going to do an episode completely on terrain and the importance of how I feel terrain should be used based on the war game. How important it is for a game that is played on a map versus a game that is played on an open board, or versus a game that is more stylized. Whatever. Either way, with more on that later. Oh, I'm gonna sneeze. Oh, it is not the Rona, I promise. Just got man. Oh man, you guys are laughing at me because I got the sneezes. All right, so now that the sneezing is done, hopefully, I'm going to do an episode on terrain shortly. But what I wanted to do is when I do the episode on terrain, I want to make sure that I can show you a bunch of pieces and maybe even make a piece over in the hobby rig, which leads me to one bad thing that did happen this week. So while I was working on the Seraptech, which in a moment you get to see the glory that is that monster. But while I was working on the Seraptech, I often have my laptop sitting there, either for Zoom calls or recording parts of my painting, or even just watching Netflix while I'm painting something. Well, when I got up out of my chair, I have an artist's kneeling chair for my hobby rig, or for the hobby table. While I was over there, it got a little wound up in my chair. And so when I backed away, the cord got caught on my foot, and the laptop came flying off of the table. I tripped and fell straight to the ground. And I heard behind me, the collapse of stuff and the calamity. And I was like, oh, please don't be that model. I know that it was a present from one of you fans, but please don't let it be that model. It was so much work, and it's so gorgeous. Well, luckily, the cord and the laptop completely missed the models that I had on the desk and came flying off and instead landed on the ground. Well, problem with that is that it snapped the charger cord port completely at the cord. Just snapped it like it was nothing. And I got a replacement cord, and that was when I found out that my laptop is broken. It actually, whatever the little connection pin port piece, wherever the power cord plugs into, is also snapped off and free moving around inside there. So I've got to get, as soon as I get paid again, or we get our Natalie and I get our taxes back, I need to get it in and get that part fixed, or at least get a quote on it and see what's up, because then I can start doing hobby things again. We'll do that terrain episode as promised. But until then, this is the rig I got, so you got stuck with me over here in this part of the studio. So let's go and do a few things in order. First up, I just was mentioning the Seraptech. Well, barring a coat of sealant, here she is in all of her glory. And you can see all those Turbo Dork paints that I was using on the sides, all those metallic shiny bits. Using all kinds. I can't really see it in there, but I used a bunch inside the wheel as well, to kind of point out the thing. But this thing is massive, and it is so cool. And I got it attached to the base, so it's in that crater that I was talking about. And now I'm really, really happy how she turned out, and I can't wait to get her on the field. Hopefully 9th edition comes sooner rather than later, so we can start enjoying the new and improved 40K, and everything that we're hearing is actually seeming like it's an improvement for me anyway. I know a lot of competitive players are not happy with some of the changes, but I am excited. I think it's fun I can't wait to play again, and I think that the changes are in an attempt to make the game more fun all around. You can always be competitive, even if it's got a fun rule set. You don't have to always be, cutthroat in order to have a good tournament. So there's that. So Seraptech's done. Super happy. I love you, big monster, you. And while we are talking about awesomeness, so it is now June, the May contest, where I asked people to subscribe and tell me your favorite episode and why, and then give us some ideas of what to do in the future. I took everybody who had a qualifying answer, I dumped them in a hat. Not this hat, it was a different hat. shuffled them up, and I took out that little piece of index card, and the winner is Tim Lowe, whose comment was on episode 56, I think. It was on the Necron episode. So Tim, I'm going to reach out to you through your comment. I'm going to comment on your comment. So hopefully you'll get that, and you'll let me know your address so I can ship you a fun care package full of stuff from here in the studio. And if you would be so kind as to let us know when that gets there, that'd be great. So more contests to come as I get more cool sponsor stuff from other folks. Otherwise, I'm going to run out of things to give away. But hopefully, I will land some cool sponsorships and get some interesting things out for people to enjoy and help the channel blossom and bloom. Speaking of the channel and cool things that we are doing. So today's episode is talking about the power of social media. And part of that comes from there's a natural part of it that came from the fact that social media is playing such a big part in this in the Black Lives Matter movement, getting people, showing these injustices so people believe that they happen, because unfortunately there are a lot of people out there that are like, no, didn't happen, bunch of liars, cop says it didn't happen. And there was a time that I think that everyone believed that, and that's fine. But as time has moved on, and as the American mentality sadly has changed, we now need to have checks and balances. I'm sure if you go back and ask anybody from 2 generations ago if cops should have to wear body cams to prove what they say is the truth, they'd be like, that's insane. Cops are cops because cops are cops. If you don't want to get arrested, don't break the law. If you don't want to get beat, don't resist. Well, what we're seeing now through social media is that's not the case. A lot of times these people are getting beat or spit on or maced or tased or shot for no reason. Because of a power that has been given to these individuals that I'm sure is intoxicating. I don't have that power, and I don't want it. I would also like to point out that I am not saying that every single cop out there is bad and that every single cop out there is ready to pull a trigger on somebody. In fact, I would love to believe that the American police force is made up of mostly good people that would turn on these savages that are hurting people in the streets because they can, because they have the authority to do so. But right now, it's very hard to believe that the good outweighs the bad because of what we're seeing, because of what we're literally being shown. It's not doctored. It's not fake news. It's not, social media is spreading these clips, and some of these clips, occasionally you'll get one, you'll be like, okay, well, you don't know what happened before, you don't know what happened after, but the situation is ugly, you don't know. But there are some of them that you just look at and go, how is that even remotely okay to treat another human being that way? What's wrong with this picture? And that's one of the powers of social media, is that it's showing these things to us. There was a time in my life where I wouldn't have cared, not about the situation, but I wouldn't have cared because it wouldn't have been in front of me. I didn't watch the news when I was little. I didn't watch the news, because as soon as my cartoons were over, as soon as Thundercats was done, I was off playing with my toys or playing Nintendo downstairs. it was never put in front of me. And now my 12-year-old stepdaughter mentions to me, hey, why are there black people being shot for no reason? And that's sad, but it's because she has access to social media. She has access to hearing these things through, she doesn't have a Facebook page, thank God, but she does watch YouTube. She does, she has a TikTok. There's these things out there that have more exposure, and that's the power of social media is exposure. Now, again, I'm going to get away from the political side of things for a minute and talk about what that does for us as freelancers, as game designers, as industry folk. I would not be able to do what I do, especially now, during this whole quarantine thing. I wouldn't be able to do what I do without social media, without being able to tell people, hey, new products are coming, or getting on Facebook and starting a Q&A, or in the case of there are members of our community, of our industry community, that live and die by the facial media, the social media. It's it is a highway. It is a collective highway for us to be able to focus on what we need to focus on, and look at specific audiences and go, hey guys, board gamers, guess what? I got this thing. Hey, miniature gamers, guess what? Boom, I got this thing. And that's something that the industry, if I look back and I think, the satanic panic of the 80s, when everybody thought D&D was corrupting the youth, and the Christian right was doing everything they could to get those books banned, and they're just D&D is horrible, it's killing your children. Is, if there was a social media at that time, I wonder how much damage it could have actually done, because I think more people might have been able to see what D&D was, what it actually was. Now, it also could backfire, and it could have given the Christian right more power to influence others against D&D. But I just seeing how subcultures really take over areas of social media, I can't imagine. And not to mention, social media often tends to insulate and create echo chambers too. For people who might be like, what are you talking about? Is that a lot of times, through hiding people who spout off about things that you don't like, or by actual groups that are, hey, join us if you want to be part of this group of like-minded people in these digital gathering places, is it creates an area that let's say it's the 1980s and the internet's a big thing. There's a Facebook group about I like D&D.com, and some satanic panic person gets in there and starts going off about how this is going to kill everybody, you're worshiping the devil. How long do you think it'll take before that guy gets banned? Gets muted. Mute, sent, out, you're gone. It wouldn't. It would like that. The admins would be all over that person in a heartbeat. And I think that's where my brain goes, is that movements like that are harmful in nature only gain power when they gather people who have not made up their mind. And social media, at least currently, has really managed to create groupings and insular kind of connections and bubbles and Venn diagrams of different people. But one thing that it doesn't do very often is just randomly throw people together. So that Christian right person isn't going to randomly, unless they're out seeking, there's a group out there that says, I don't play D&D.com. They go in there and they try and get everyone to, be against it. But if that was the case, they probably weren't going to play anyway. You're not hurting anything. It was the fact that there was that information ignorance that allowed the satanic panic to happen. And I think that social media has eliminated that ignorance. Now, I'm not saying that it has eliminated ignorance altogether. That's a complete fallacy. I'm saying that if I want to join a group about underwater basket weaving enthusiasts, I go there, I know what I'm getting into. Unless that's code for something weird, I know what I'm doing. I'm getting into a group about these fellow-minded people. And this is really where the strength of the social media lies, is your audience. You know who you're reaching out to, at least partially. And it's not a blind draw. You're not just screaming out into the void, hey, look at my board game. You are going to a group of board game enthusiasts, people who play board games, people who review board games. You're going to all of these different groups and going, hey, guys, I got a board game. You want to take a look at it? Cool. And that's such a massive difference of what the advertising used to have to be. It used to be you needed TV commercials, you needed ads in magazines, you needed people to randomly see this and go, interesting. You needed to be in the catalog around Christmas time. These are things that you had to happen. Now it's not so much. It still helps to have these things. It's always nice to have fresh eyes on stuff, but for the most part, you can direct your focus through social media, and that is where its power comes from. So where I'm going with this, I have two things that I really want to cover before I get back to ranting and raving, I'm sure. So one of the things is usually it would make more sense for me to do. Okay, sorry, organizing in my brain. In the social media circuits, there's lots of different versions, and one of the things that I have recently been shown, unveiled to, I don't know how to exactly, invited to. One of my good friends and one of the players in the Arcane Promise, my Spelljammer sister channel, Richard from Rick Rolls America, Rick asked me last week. We got on the phone, and he asked me if I had a TikTok, and I was like, no, TikTok's for children, because that's what I had always been told, is that it was for teens and for young the 20-year-olds to all try and find their momentary matches and do silly dances. Because it's basically the new Vine. Vine was 8-second videos. These are minute-long videos, unless you have enough followers and then you can have lives. I don't know exactly how it works altogether yet. I'm working on it. But one of the things that Rick mentioned is that D&D has become kind of big. D&D and gaming has become kind of big on TikTok. And part of that is due to influencers like himself or Satine Phoenix, who is on TikTok as well. But he mentioned that there's a whole gaming circuit within the TikTok community, and that it would be good for me to branch out and play along with these goofy little 1-minute videos. So I got the app, and before I recorded anything, I just kind of toured around. And he's right. There are some very, very intelligent, fun, some smart people doing fun videos on there. And not to mention, some socially aware videos, as well. But I found myself watching these little minute long skits, and yeah, there is a bunch of there's a bunch of cosplay artists on there that are there to show off their wares, and there's a whole lot of people on there that are there to show off more than their wares. But there's also I found a group of accounts that are all zoos. So it's all animal videos, and I love that. I sat there and watched otters play for like 6 or 7 minutes. I found a whole bunch of beekeepers and like honey gatherers, which that's just fascinating to me. If you've ever heard me, I love insects and arthropods in general, and so you finding a channel that's just all about bees and wasps and things, super cool. It's very interesting. But for the most part, it is what I've been using it for is to check out these D&D TikTokers, and some of them are genius. Like what there is one particular couple that do Married to a DM, and it is a bunch of skits where everything that the wife needs to do, he makes her roll a d20. They zoom in on the d20, and depending on what the result is, she acts out a failure or a success or whatever. And it's just cute. It's again, it's not like you're not gonna see the next Elon Musk rise out of TikTok, but it is a great way for a short amount of time to put a smile on somebody's face, pass on a little information, interact with the world on a bite-sized chunk. And so I went ahead and took the plunge. You will find the address to my TikTok in the description of the video. I've only made a handful of videos so far. I plan on making a lot more, but I hopefully keep them mostly gamer related, nerd related. It's because that's kind of my shtick. But that way, sometimes there's some cross-platforming. Maybe somebody on TikTok sees me there and goes, "Hey, it says here that he has a YouTube channel," and then they go over and check my YouTube channel, and I get more views over here. Obviously, hopefully anybody out there that TikToks will follow me over there. That's already a follower here. Regardless, it's just fun. It's a nice way of doing it. And now, that being said, my friend Rick, he really has some ideas on how to make gaming TikTok even better. Like he is starting a kind of choose your own adventure style TikTok where he films something, and then hopefully somebody will attach their film to his film based off of the decisions made, and then it's really, really neat. I don't know how it's going to work just yet, but either way, I think it'll just be fun. There's one guy on there that every day he gives one little like tidbit of useful information on a spell. He picks a random spell out of the player's handbook and goes, "All right, this level 5 druid spell, most people don't ever use for this," and then he says this is something you can do with this spell. Again, it's just neat little things, little blurbs of gamer info. There's a ton of Critical Role stuff on there, so if you're a Critical Role fan, you will find many other creatures doing their thing, a lot of cosplays and such. But yeah, just overall, it's another new platform. This year I've started using my Instagram. Twitter and Facebook have always been my things, but now I'm starting to do this whole TikTok thing. It's a again, social media is big, and part of why I decided to, other than my friends saying, "Hey, come do this," peer pressure is. It was I'm seeing that right now, until we know more, until we know about when we're going to start getting conventions back, this is a way for me to interact with the gaming populace, because otherwise, I always used to use conventions as a way to talk to the people and get them to play my games and enjoy, come to the booth and we'll talk for an hour or do a panel, or, these things are not as evident or apparent anymore. And I'm hoping that maybe something like TikTok or something like Facebook will kind of put a Band-Aid over that wound, that social wound when it comes to the gaming industry, and that people won't forget faces and won't forget what people have done within the industry and who they are and what they're responsible for and what they've done in the past or currently or in the future or whatnot. And I think that that's going to be a very big, a very, very, very big deal in the next coming months as we figure out what's going on with the different conventions, and how are they all going digital, and when are we going to start feeling comfortable enough to get back together with strangers again. And I really do think that the social media platforming is going to be an important factor to get us through these times as an industry and as gamers in general, because there is so much, there is such a hefty amount of potential that's there. Like I said, I didn't want this episode is not going to be very long. There's a lot of people have got a lot of important things to go out and do, but I did want to at least convey some of these general ideas and give you some food to think about, and of course advertise my TikTok. But one of the things that I wanted to say before we get into kind of the closing wrap up is that next week is the planned Q&A session between you, the fans, and Alex Kunous, which I hope I'm not butchering that. I'll have to ask Alex if that's his. I'm pretty sure his last name's Kunous, or Kunous. Either way, we'll figure it out. Alex is my boss over at ResNova Games, the gaming company who has hired me to bring Warzone back from the darkness and into the light as a miniatures game again. And a few episodes ago, actually several episodes ago, I just talked a little bit about Warzone, and it was easily the biggest video, the most viewed video. I got the most subscriptions based off of it. It was huge. You guys obviously, y'all let me know that Warzone, that there's a rampant Warzone community out there, and you want me to talk more about it. Well, I can't talk a lot about everything because it's still a work in progress. But what I did want to do is I wanted to invite Alex to be my guest on the show to discuss, kind of some of the questions that I've received aren't questions that I can answer. They're business related questions, not rules or design questions. And so Alex will be able to field some of that stuff. And it'll also maybe help you put an idea or a mentality behind what we're trying to do. And it'll give you a good kind of glimpse into the minds that are making the game that hopefully you will be playing again shortly. What I've done, again, social media, what I've done is I opened up a couple of threads, one on my own Facebook and one on the Warzone community page, Facebook, to have people ask questions of me and Alex ahead of time, because it is too difficult for me to try and have a live event and get everything edited and everything out at a proper time. So what we're going to do is Alex and I are going to go through these questions, and we're going to first off, we're just going to have a good conversation. There's going to be a lot of stuff that he and I joke around a lot together that others might enjoy the joke. Warzone fans may enjoy the joke, so we want to bring some of that in. But also, we're going to go through all of these questions in the list, and the ones that we can answer, we're gonna jot down on a side script, and basically he and I will have kind of a Q&A session during our interview or his guest appearance on the show. So next week's show might be a little longer than normal, depending on the questions, depending on how chatty we get about things. But either way, I am very excited to get Alex on the show and to discuss, go into hopefully a little more depth about the project and what is kind of in store for Warzone players. Maybe define some of those vague questions that I was able to answer but not detailed enough. Maybe get some more detailed answers to those. And on top of all of that, I think it'll be nice for everyone out there to see how Alex views things. Because at the end of the day, he is the license holder, and what I'm going to create for him. He and I discuss things, and he has sometimes he'll be like, yeah, that's not what we want. There's times where I'll come forward and say, well, we need to do this. It has turned into a really good partnership. But at the end of the day, he is still a license holder, and if he puts his foot down on something, I will only fight him so far. So it is going to be really nice to know some of the things that Alex has in store and in mind for the new Warzone. And who knows, maybe Alex will have some surprises even for me during the spiel, during the guest appearance, and I'll be able to ooh and ah alongside you guys, because as a gamer, I do the oohing and eyeing just as much as everyone else does. All right, so again, I didn't have a whole lot that I wanted to talk about today because it has been such a drain of a week, and there's just so much badness going on and so much hardship, and I just really want I want everybody to know that here at Tales from Professional Nerd, we love you. I don't care who you are. I don't care. We take the Mr. Rogers approach. You're our neighbor. You live in our collective world, and I want you to be happy, so long as your happiness does not infringe upon someone else's. And to say that I want everybody out there to be happy is silly, because there are some bad people out there. But if you're watching this, you're probably a gamer, you're probably a good person deep down, and you're probably feeling the sting of all of this negativity as well. So I want you to know that I'm thinking about you. We want positive things. We want good things to happen. We want to get through this year and have it be a historic year from where we turned things around. And this is really it's been my mantra since the very beginning of the show, is what I want you guys to do is go out there for just a little while, forget some of the troubles, set that stuff aside. You got to come back to it, but set it aside, take some deep breaths, enjoy yourself, and play some games. Because if we forget what makes us happy and we dwell all of the time on what doesn't, we will never manage to pick ourselves up and get out of that slump. And that is one of the saddest things and one of the worst outcomes that I can think of as a community, as a culture, as a total people, is that we have to be able to get past the bad and start creating the good, and start cutting that bad out of our life and get back to a place where we're not just doing something in order to forget the badness. We're doing something because we want the goodness. And that's important to me. So from everybody here to you, we love you. And I couldn't do this without you guys. So please be safe, whether you're protesting, whether you're locked in from the virus, whether you're in a field where you can't. And if you are a law enforcement individual, or if you've got someone in your family who is a law enforcement agent, get them to see what the world is seeing right now, and let's all stand together on the right side of this. All right? So I hope you guys have a great weekend. And then next week, super cool episode. I can't wait for next week. So we'll see you then. Until then, go out there, play some games. Please. Take care, guys.